Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily Chess. Today we are going to take a look at how to calculate corresponding squares. This is our position and we clearly see that white has a first pawn. Now let's break this position down in step-by-step fashion so we know what to look at, when to look at. So to break this down, to simplify this, we first know this is the passed pawn. So this is where the white pawns square. Black king just cannot step out of this one, right? From a4 to e4 and to e8 to e8. So black king is sort of stuck here. That means even if black somehow gets access to the b3 pawn, he comes out. As soon as he steps out of this line, this pawn goes up and he'll win much before this pawn can reach to b1. Now, basically this pawn is untouchable and black king is stuck. Black just cannot make progress. So black all that black king can do is keep this king out of this square and try to hold the position by not letting this pawn quit. Alright, so we know white king is free to roam anywhere around the board. That is first. So in this position you just cannot lose. That gives you freedom to think and focus on just king moves. So let's start calculating. Let's start looking objectively at this position. So right now it's black to move. If it's white to move, it's a winning position. But yeah, black to move. There are a couple of candid moves we know, but not all of them are correct. Obviously, black king will try to reach towards his pawn and try to get the opposition. So two moves come to mind. This is not something that comes up first in your mind or not anyone will play, of course, because this gives white king access uh, and basically white king is able to enter and he'll try to reach this pawn much easily. So this is the square of this pawn, right? Black king cannot get out, and if you're playing from black side, you need to look at what white king wants to do. He wants to reach any of these three squares, right? Once he's able to penetrate any of these three squares, he'll be able to reach this pawn. So these three are important squares, the c4, e4 and d4. To gain access to these three, of course, white needs to reach any of the third row, any of the squares in the third row, and from there he'll be marching forward. That can be from any direction, obviously, from here, here, or here. Whatever direction white takes, obviously he first needs to go through the entire third row. So black king needs to calculate if white king is on d2, where should he be? On e2, where should he be? And so on and so forth. So let's start looking from this side, okay, from left to right, and see how white king can try to enter this position. Obviously, right now it's draw. So we'll look at y as well. First of all, let's assume in this position you're playing from black side. You want to hold this position, and white king is on d2. He just entered d3 square. Now to get the position or to blockade this king from entering any of these three squares, obviously black king needs to be on d5. That means if white king is on d2 and he just played king d3, white needs to be able to, let's say he's on c5, he should be able to reach to d5. That's how he'll get a position. So for obviously anyone can tell for d3, d5 is the opposing square, and if you go here, he should be able to reach here. Now similarly for e3, e5 is the corresponding square or the square where black king will get a position. And so these two are fixed. What about f3? If king enters f3, let's say right now, he you cannot directly get the position. So obviously f5 will be the square where black king gets a position, but he cannot leave this square, right? So king is not going to go to f5, black king. So let's assume I just entered to f3. Does that mean it's winning? Obviously no. For this square f3, d5 is the corresponding square. Let's look at why. So from f3, I'm able to enter, white king is able to go to f4 or e3. If he goes to e3, we know e5 is the corresponding square. And if white king goes to f4, black king should be present on d4. That's how he'll get a position. So let's get it on board. So if king goes to f3, black king should be in a position to go get a position in both of the squares. Right. So let's say right now if I go to yeah. So let's say if I go to king goes to e3, black king should be able to reach e5, correct? If he goes to f4, black king should be able to reach d4. Now, if in this position I play this, sorry, if in this position I play this, that means when I go to, white king goes to e3, black king needs to move, and black basically has lost a position because when king comes to e3, you should be entering e5, not exiting e5 square. Yeah, so that makes sense. So that's why black king right now should be in a place where he should get a position or he should be able to reach both these squares, d4 and e5, and that square is this one, d5. So for f3, d5 is the corresponding square. Usually you can, a simple way to identify is diagonally opposite square basically. Yeah. So to get opposition, you just need to be in front of your opposing king, and the other another one corresponding square will be diagonally opposite to this. Okay. So that way, whenever he moves, you are able to get the opposition. All right. So from f3, if king is on d5, he'll be able to get the opposition, and this will be a draw. So we have calculated for d3, d5 is the corresponding or opposing square. For e3, e5 is the corresponding or opposing square. For f3 again, d5 is the corresponding or opposing square. Now let's identify for g3. What happens if I go to g3, right? For g3 again, we can quickly say, okay, diagonally opposite square will be the correct one. Okay. So now if I go to f3, we know for f3, d5 is the corresponding square. So we'll go there, not here, otherwise pawn goes up. Don't forget that. And if he goes here, then again we have e4. Notice this square still holds, right? Pawn cannot push. So that's how you will get the opposition. All right. So these squares we have calculated. So basically it's a little bit tricky, or let's say time consuming, because you need to identify for each square where black king should be. And that basically happens when you identify where white king will go next to make progress. So there's a one tricky line here. What if king goes s3? Now for h3, obviously this and this are the places, but from here where exactly white king can go? Now it's black to move, but if you want to draw, you should know where exactly white king can go, sorry, black king can go to hold it. If you enter here, you'll lose. Why? e5. So we have looked at two most important things. First, diagonally opposite position, and in front of to get the position. Now, if you'll see this position, here there's a distance of 3 files is maintained. Okay, you need to maintain this distance. Let's say white went h3 and he maintained this distance of 3 files or 3 rows. Okay, in that case, you also need to maintain the same. So if white king breaks this, then you can also break this, close this distance. Essentially, you need to maintain this small square of 3 in between if your opponent maintains it. So for example, from here, why just go to these three squares, right? You can go here as well. In that case, white king has maintained the distance of 3 files, 3 rows. So black king will also maintain. He won't enter any of these two squares. These two squares are important to get the position. That clarifies one more thing, right? D5 and D5 and E5 are the most important squares where black king essentially will be. So all black needs to do is shuffle around on D6 and E6. That's all he'll do. So making sure that whenever he enters, you'll enter in the opposition. Of course, he can't jump to F3. And if he tries to jump to F3, sorry, if he tries to jump to F3, then you will enter D5, not E5. Alright. So the simple idea is if king enters H3, instead of jumping into any of these squares, black can just look at the distance of 3 files and go here. You don't need to calculate too much and waste your time into this. Essentially, this gives you ease in calculation and a better chance at identifying the corresponding squares. Now we knew these three are the most important square where white king will try to enter, and based on that we identified that okay, these two squares is where black king needs to be, and that's all. And yeah, that's all for today. Three key rules we understood: diagonally opposing position, exactly opposing position, and the distance of 3 files. That should cover and help you identify simpler more moments in time scrambles. That's all. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe if you find it useful. Thanks.